San Miguel De Allende is a great place to invest. A lot of our buyers will come in and purchase a home that they're only going to live in 2 or 3 months a year, and they rent it the rest of the time. There's great rental income opportunities here that can way more than cover your carrying cost. But the better opportunity for investors is your appreciation. We have great appreciation in San Miguel de Allende.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another video. I am Maya, your interview host for Berkshire Hathaway Home Services here in San Miguel de Allende in central Mexico. Today, we'll talk about investment opportunities when it comes to rental properties and homes in San Miguel de Allende. And who better to guide us than Greg Gunter, broker and co-owner of the sole Berkshire Hathaway Home Services office here in San Miguel de Allende. Hello, Greg.
Hey Maya, how are you? Can you believe this? We're not even a week into February and it's supposed to be 82 degrees today. I'm loving it.
I know, I'm loving it too. It's fantastic weather we're having. Why don't we get started, Greg, with today's topic? I would like you to give our viewers maybe just an overview of the investment potential in San Miguel de Allende.
Sure, of course, to talk about the investment potential here, you kind of have to know a little bit about San Miguel, the history of San Miguel. Gringos, Americans, have been coming down to San Miguel de Allende since the mid 40s. A lot of the GIs came down here on the GI Bill, and they could spend their GI Bill taking art classes and live like kings down here because the rent was $15 a month, and a beer was a nickel a beer, and they just lived like kings on $500 a month back in the 40s and 50s. Americans have been coming here for a long time, so that's the big history. But we really made a big change in 2008 when we got our UNESCO World Heritage designation. So our tourism and interest in people moving down here increased exponentially with that UNESCO World Heritage designation in 2008. Since then, we've been named the #1 city in the world 5 times by Condé Nast Traveler, so that's great. 4 times by Travel and Leisure. So that just continues to prove the demand is really high, and a lot more people have come down. There's a lot more demand for homes. Therefore, homes appreciate more because there's more demand for people buying them. There's more rental income opportunities. So that's kind of, in a nutshell, the history of the investment potential. Maybe it wasn't so great 15 years ago, although 15 years ago, you'd still be seeing some phenomenal appreciation, but we've had a lot of rental income opportunities that have popped up since then. So if we were going to talk about the current state of the real estate market and in the appeal to investors, again, we tend to follow in San Miguel de Allende the real estate market in the United States. 2023 was really slow in the United States, and it was down here as well. Now I have to say we're only a week into the first week of February, and our business has gone exponentially gangbusters since the first of the year. You've heard a lot of the American real estate brokers and realtors say that the phone started ringing off the hook the day after Christmas in the United States, certainly since the first of the year. For us, it was, about the 3rd or 4th of January, the phone started ringing off the hook and everybody started getting back into gear. So we're kind of following that American market. We think that there's going to be a lot more demand in 2024. So far, there has been in the first 5 weeks. It's been incredible. So that means our appreciation rates are going to climb back up. They kind of stabilized in 2023 because there wasn't that much activity. So we'll see more appreciation, a little more tourism. We still had fairly good tourism last year. So our tourism is going to pick up, which means that your rental income will pick up a lot more too. So for those of you investors looking at properties, 2024 looks to be a very good year. We really have decent appreciation even in down markets, at least in the center part of town. But we know that this year is going to be even better, even for those areas that are a little further out. So great appreciation, great rental income opportunity in 2024.
Yes, things are definitely picking up again. So why don't we just tell our viewers why they should invest in San Miguel de Allende, why this is a good idea?
Well, it's always fun to invest in a place that has an appeal to you. And the charm and beauty of San Miguel de Allende is certainly appealing, even for an investor. An investor is supposedly not thinking with their heart, right? They're supposedly just thinking with their pocketbook. But let's face it, we all love to invest in a place that we enjoy going to as well. It's a good reason to write off the trip to go down and visit, right? Hawaii is a great place. Aspen's a great place to invest. All those fun places you want to invest your money there. You typically make a good rate of return, but it's also a beautiful place to invest. You might get a good rental rate in Des Moines, Iowa, I suppose. Nothing against Des Moines. for those of you looking from Des Moines. But I'm not sure that you'd be quite so keen on going back to visit Des Moines every year versus San Miguel de Allende. So the charm and beauty of San Miguel, of course, is a lot of the reason why a lot of people are interested in looking down here. Now, if we're going to talk about our thriving real estate market, I kind of touched base on that a little bit. It has picked back up already in the first 5 weeks of 2024. We're going to touch base in just a little bit on the kinds of rates of return that you might be seeing, but we're expecting them to increase in 2024. So that's the good thing. 2024 looks to be a great year. Come on down with your pocketbook.
Of course, yes, it does seem to be a great year for investing. But what would you say, Greg, are the best areas and neighborhoods to invest if someone decides to come down here and check out properties for investment? Where would you start? What are the best areas, neighborhoods to invest in San Miguel de Allende?
So anyone that's ever been around real estate for more than 2 minutes knows the old rule: location, location, location. Right? That's the overall overriding rule in real estate, and that's probably triply true in San Miguel de Allende. We will have neighborhoods that have a very popular street, very popular, and a block away is a place that you may not want to invest. So location is really paramount. The neighborhoods are important, but we have a couple of really large neighborhoods where segments of those neighborhoods are very popular, and other parts I wouldn't even take you to. So it's really critical to know the neighborhoods and know the areas within that specific neighborhood. You'll notice all of our listings are categorized by the specific neighborhood name. In the US, that'd be a little bit like calling something out by the suburb name. Denver has got, for instance, neighborhoods like Inglewood and Aurora and those kinds of places, Littleton. They all kind of follow under the MSMA, the Metropolitan Statistical Area of Denver, but they all have their little neighborhoods, and it's the same way here. So we have about 80 neighborhoods, only about 13 of which are really popular, but those are, if you look at the neighborhood page on our website, those 13 neighborhoods that I profiled are the ones that probably see about 85% of our sales activity. Now, the really good rule of thumb, I guess, to think of is that you'll see this when we send our Q&A booklet to you, is that we talk about property values are based on your sightline and your walking distance to the parochial church, which is that big iconic pink Eiffel Tower type structure in the middle of our town, sitting right on the town square, and properties within about a 15-minute walking radius of that command the most attention. We have the most demand for those kind of properties. They appreciate the most, they rent the most, they have higher rental rates on a nightly basis. So that's kind of a good rule of thumb to know. The walking radius distance as it gets further away from the parochia gets a little more affordable and a little less cheaper in rent. Now, if we're going to discuss specific neighborhoods to kind of focus on, I mentioned those 13 neighborhoods that you really should study all of them on our website, because some might be more attuned to your needs specifically. As an example, if you have dogs and need a lot of yard space, for instance, you probably won't be looking in Centro. You probably will not be looking within that 15-minute walking radius, because the center of town tends to be more dense and more vertical with less land space. So, of course, the most popular neighborhood, if any of you have watched any of my neighborhood videos, is Centro. About 80% of our sales occur in Centro. People love being in Centro. They love that walking distance. They love walking out the door and being 2 minutes from a coffee shop or 4 minutes from an art gallery. That's the most popular area of town. Other really popular neighborhoods, however, one of the ones that's called San Antonio. Now, San Antonio is one of those neighborhoods that I mentioned is very, very large, and there are segments of San Antonio very popular. There's kind of there's at the opposite end, the very south end, are areas that are not quite so popular. The safety factor is a little bit lower in those areas. They're not walking distance to the Jardín, so there's not as much demand for those neighborhoods. And then we sort of have what us urban planners call the spark gap that's sort of in the middle. And that's beginning to fill in from the less popular to the very popular area. Those areas are filling in on our very good values. You can find good opportunities there. Well, a property that will probably appreciate maybe just a little bit more, because that area is still gentrifying and it's still in that transition phase. So that's San Antonio for you. Guadalupe is another neighborhood, mostly because of location. It's a short, flat walk to the Jardín. From much of Guadalupe, you can be in the Jardín in 8 to 10 minutes. So that's the big popularity there. Now, again, that's an older neighborhood. So it's still a lot of older buildings there, a lot of raw brick buildings. The newer ones, obviously, have all been stuccoed and painted and, have nice rooftops. And Centro, Guadalupe, and San Antonio, those are kind of the top, about three of the top. Now, Guadiana is a really, really popular neighborhood also on the south end of Centro. A short walk also, 13 to 15-minute walking distance, has the second biggest park in the city. So Guadiana is super, super popular as well. That's really one of the most popular ones because it's quieter. It's a little further away, but it's still walking distance to the Jardín. Those would be some top areas to look at if you're looking for the best appreciation and probably the best nightly rental rates from a rental income perspective. Keep those in mind. Look them up on our website. We've got a great neighborhood page.
Yes, thank you, Greg. Viewers, we'll leave the link to our website down below in the description box in case you want to check out these fantastic neighborhood review videos that we have there. Greg, I think it would be a great idea to talk about or give our viewers a case study, maybe one or two, showcase some successful investment properties.
Yeah, I've got some specific instances. Here's an interesting thing about San Miguel. We don't have an American style MLS here. Our MLS is basically a repository of listings. So we don't have Zillow and Trulia and Redfin and all those other tools that you can measure appreciation and look at the sales history of a property over the last 20 years and see how many times it's sold and for what price. We don't really have that. So, and even the rudimentary MLS that we have has only been around for 4 or 5 years. So it's relatively new as it is. I've been doing this for 12 years. We had to go to everybody's website and look up listings from every single website when I first started to get into real estate here. I joked it was like doing real estate in the 1950s when I first started. So we've become a little bit more progressive, but nonetheless, we don't have the same kind of tools. So it's really important to work with a realtor that has a lot of history in town and has seen the progress of the turnover of the inventory here in town. They can kind of give you a history on a particular property. And so I'll mention 2 or 3 to give you kind of a feel, since we don't have, neighborhood-wide statistics to share with you. I have a buyer that just lost a specific home that they were really interested in. It's over on 28 de Abril in San Antonio, that very, very popular part of San Antonio. This was a home that was built by an old client of mine. He's a Dallas custom home builder that does $3 and $4 million custom homes in Dallas. He does these very distinct designs here in San Miguel De Allende that are very, very popular. We started selling that very first home, or when it was first built by this developer, a little over 4 years ago, $640,000. It's on the market for $995,000 right now, and my buyer just missed it because somebody snatched it up right away. Now, that's been about 4 years of a price change, and that's about 55% appreciation if you're doing the math. Pull out your calculator here. You can do a little math. You remember my MBA's in finance. I have a dual major in finance and real estate. So numbers are kind of a big deal for me. So follow along here. We'll give you a couple more numbers. I just sold another home a little earlier this year called Casi Caminando because it was so close to the Jardín. It was a nice short walking distance. I had sold it to the existing owners and then resold it for them to a new set of buyers here just a few months ago. That one, they purchased that one 7 years ago for $385, and we just sold it for $645. The actual selling price was $645. Again, 7 years, you can do the math in your head. That's, well, maybe not in your head. I'm not that good either. Pull out your calculator and you can do the appreciation on that one. It's 67%. So great appreciation on that one as well. But here's the topper. Okay, I'm going to give you the best one. That's just phenomenal. I'm in the process of selling a home in Centro. Remember, I told you Centro is the most popular neighborhood, so we appreciate a lot more in Centro. We have a property on the market now. The seller has owned it 39 months. It has appreciated 92% in those 39 months. Now, she got a good deal when she purchased it. I sold it to her, and we negotiated a good price. I have to admit, not everybody's going to have that kind of appreciation, but 92% in 39 months, that's tough to beat. That's California appreciation rates. So we've got great opportunities here in San Miguel de Allende. maybe another way to kind of look at this is if I were to highlight the difference, for instance, between an ROI and an IRR. A lot of clients know the word return on investment or the phrase return on investment. They've heard of that, and it gets abbreviated to ROI for return on investment. Now, return on investment, for those of you that know a little bit of math, is only based on your current income stream. So that's based on your rental income stream. You can find properties here that will have an upper single digit or sometimes even a lower double digit. In other words, like 11, 12, 13% ROI. That's not phenomenal. That's really much better than your mutual fund's going to do, but that's not necessarily phenomenal. But the important number, and again, forgive me if I'm getting a little too complicated from the math standpoint because my MBA is in finance, but the internal rate of return is the number you really want to pay more attention to because that takes into account the appreciation over your holding period. I've just given you 3 great examples of the appreciation. So really, remember, if it's only got a 6 or 7% ROI because the rental income is not phenomenal, that's why a lot of people love to come here. They can rent a lot cheaper than they can if they go to Miami or, Aspen, for instance. So the ROI is not always phenomenal, but the internal rate of return that takes into account that appreciation is always fantastic. So San Miguel proves a great place to invest, whether you're wanting to live here part-time or purely as a investment rental property. Come take a look at San Miguel De Allende.
Of course. I mean, these numbers are irresistible. And I bet that our viewers now are eager to know how they can start investing in San Miguel De Allende. So, Greg, why don't you share some tips on this?
Yeah, we're in Mexico. Duh. You've already heard that, haven't you? And you, viewer, are probably up in the United States. So it's really critical for those of you coming from the United States that don't know much about the market here is do as much online research as you can. We've created a website that is very educational, exhaustively educational, so that you can learn more about the city. If you don't even know that much about San Miguel de Allende, our press page, for instance, has probably 50 articles specifically about San Miguel de Allende, from the New York Times, the Wall Street Journal, El Decor, all those kind of people have written about the city because we're so popular. Again, we've been named the #1 city in the world 5 times by Condé Nast Traveler. So lots of good press to learn about the city. And then once you're convinced that, yes, San Miguel's where I want to look, then you need to learn about where you should be looking, what areas, what neighborhoods that we've just discussed are going to give you the best rate of return, the best rental income, perhaps the best appreciation as well. The neighborhood page that I've mentioned a couple of times has a written editorial, and we also have a video on each of those neighborhoods. So take a look at each of those and see which resonates with you the most and might give you the best appreciation. Do all that homework and then find a realtor that has a good, extensive background. They've been in business here for many years. They can steer you in the right directions. They can kind of steer you away from the more marginal neighborhoods and marginal areas within some of those better neighborhoods. Because remember, I told you San Antonio, there's some marginal areas in San Antonio that I wouldn't take you to versus some of the other areas. The $1 million one that I just mentioned, that my client just lost because it was so popular. Make sure you work with a client that will steer you in the right direction. A realtor that will steer you in the right direction and can give you the history on those neighborhoods. So education is really the key. I mean, I know it is in the United States as well, but more so here because we're Mexico. It's a new area for you. It's a new market. It's a new city. So work with someone that's very educated and can steer you in the right direction. And I'd like to tell you that every single realtor on my team in Berkshire Hathaway Home Services has that experience. They'll steer you in the right direction. Give us a call.
Yes, definitely. We'd love to hear from you. Well, thank you, Greg. This has been a fantastic conversation. You gave us a brief history of San Miguel de Allende and the current state of the city and its appeal to investors. We also talked about why it's a great idea to invest here in San Miguel de Allende, as well as the best areas to invest here. Greg also shared with us some case studies on successful investment properties here in San Miguel de Allende, as well as how to start investing in San Miguel de Allende. So thank you so much, Greg. Viewers, watch for our website at the end of this video and connect with any of our team members to have them help you explore investment opportunities here. They will point you in the right direction for the best beneficial return on your investment, right, Greg?
Well said, exactly. And we can even sometimes do an ROI for you. If you're looking at something, you get down to two specific properties and you're saying which one's going to give me the better rate of return, we can do an ROI for you and kind of give you some feedback on that. We don't do that on every property team. Now, that's a lot of work that goes into doing something like that. So don't ask us to do that on 30 properties. But when you get down to the final choice there, we can help you out so that you'll know what's going to give you the best return and best appreciation. Give us a call. Check for the link at the end, and we look forward to hearing from you.
We definitely do. And also comment below with your experiences on investing here in San Miguel de Allende or any questions you may have. And please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more valuable content. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, take care. Bye, Greg.
Bye, viewers. Good to see you again. See you next week. Bye-bye.